Hello, basketball people, we have news. Let's go to more news about the Golden State Warriors. I ask you to give a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, as I am a Warriors fan. If the Warriors want to try to convince the Brooklyn Nets to trade their star Michael Porter Jr., they will have to give up some players like Moses Moody, Jonathan Kuminga, and Buddy Hield, who are three good players who are not providing a high level of performance for the Warriors, and a trade would be beneficial for everyone. Moses Moody, Jonathan Kuminga, and Buddy Hield will get more minutes on the Brooklyn Nets, and Michael Porter Jr. will be alongside Stephen Curry and will be able to compete for the championship. Here's been a lot of chatter recently about potential Golden State Warriors trade interest in Brooklyn Nets forward Michael Porter Jr. Clutch Point's Brett Siegel provided an update on the Warriors possibly pursuing the veteran sharpshooter ahead of the February 5 trade deadline. "I haven't been told that there's anything brewing in terms of Michael Porter Jr. going to the Warriors," Siegel reported on the Clutch Scoops livestream on Tuesday. "It would take a lot of contracts to get him, and they'll have to sacrifice draft capital because of how well he's playing," Siegel said of Warriors trade buzz around MPJ. To Siegel's point, Porter makes $38.3 million this season and another $40.8 million in 2026-27. Meaning the Warriors would have to give up several players in a potential deal. While Siegel ruled out possible Warriors trade interest in MPJ, he noted that the franchise has inquired about Nets center Nick Claxton, as they scour the league for athletic big men. Draymond Green praises Michael Porter Jr. Porter Jr. has averaged career highs across the board: points, 25.8, rebounds, 7.5, assists, 3.3, and 3 3.8, since landing in Brooklyn. And they haven't been empty calorie stats, with the Nets going 7-4 in December, while maintaining the number 1 defensive rating in the league, 105.4, and the 4th best points differential, 7.3. On Monday, the Nets suffered a rare December loss to the Warriors, but Porter Jr. was his usual efficient self with 27 points on 10 of 18 shooting and 5 of 9 from 3. After the game, Draymond Green heaped praise on MPJ for shining in the role of the primary scoring option after being an ancillary piece for years with the Denver Nuggets. "It's different," Green said about facing the Nets' version of MPJ, via Basket News. "He didn't have as much freedom in Denver. He didn't have the ball that much in Denver. He's showing that he's the player that everybody thought or knew he was coming out of college. He's finally getting to show that." Potential Warriors trade pitch. The Ringer's Bill Simmons is among the analysts who have floated the idea of a Michael Porter Jr. to Warriors trade ahead of the February 5 deadline. "I was thinking about a Porter Warriors kinda match, which I know people have floated around out there," Simmons said. "From a money standpoint, it gets a little tough, because it would have to be, like, a 3-for-1, and the Nets already have 100 players. But conceptually, just putting Porter in that Jonathan Kuminga spot, somebody who's been in big games, somebody who's a streaky scorer, which I kind of feel like the Warriors need." In light of the rumors, Bleacher Report's Zach Buckley floated the following Warriors trade pitch that would land Stephen Curry a potent second scoring option. Warriors would get Michael Porter Jr. Nets would get Jonathan Kuminga, Moses Moody, Buddy Hield, a 2026 first-round pick, top 4 protected, and a 2028 first-round pick swap. Warriors working several angles on Jonathan Kuminga trade front. The latest on the trade front surrounding Jonathan Kuminga and the Warriors' future amid rumors ahead of the NBA trade deadline. With many signs pointing towards the Golden State Warriors parting ways with Jonathan Kuminga, sources say he will most likely be moved by the NBA trade deadline, according to Clutch Point's Brett Siegel. Without a role on this year's team, Kuminga's days with the Warriors are numbered, as Kerr somewhat alluded to when talking about Jonathan's minimal role. The Warriors are pursuing the right deal to move Kuminga, as Siegel noted, per Clutch Scoops. The Warriors are focused on moving Jonathan Kuminga. They're already working on several angles involving Kuminga. The Warriors will have a deal to move him before the deadline. While there hasn't been any particular team connected to Jonathan Kuminga and a potential deal with the Warriors, that's sure to change in the near future as the rumor mill picks up the closer we inch closer to the NBA's February 5 trade deadline. Steve Kerr reveals on Warriors Jonathan Kuminga's future. Warriors head coach Steve Kerr didn't confirm the trade rumors surrounding Jonathan Kuminga. If anything, he may have fed into them in the wake of his recent comments. Rival teams expect the Warriors to trade Kuminga before the deadline. At the same time, Kerr revealed why he doesn't see Kuminga taking on an increased role with the Warriors anytime soon. He said, per the San Francisco Chronicle's Sam Gordon. "It's tough because he's not really a short-minute player. I played a bunch of guys 8-10 minutes, Kerr said. JK is a guy who needs his rhythm. He's not a Gueye Santos who's going to come in or Pat Spencer and just fly around and play with great energy for 4 minutes and come out. He needs some rhythm. He always has to stay ready. There's a pathway here, but right now, it's not there." But things change quickly in the NBA. While Kerr admits Kuminga is in a tough spot, things could improve in due time. Warriors reach inevitable LeBron James trade point everyone saw coming. Aside from a bright 4-1 start to the season, the Golden State Warriors have been nothing but an average basketball team through the first now 33 games. It's been such a mediocre period that it was almost inevitable that the idea of trading for LeBron James would do the rounds again. The Warriors have flirted with it in the past, which combined with their current 17-16 record makes it a discussion everyone could see coming. Warriors trade idea for LeBron James again hits the headlines. Notable NBA analyst Bill Simmons has reopened the conversation, suggesting recently on his podcast that a Jimmy Butler for James trade would be good for not only the Warriors and the Los Angeles Lakers, but also for the league in general. "I was just thinking, how do you make the league more fun? You have a team that nobody's excited about with the Lakers and a team that feels dead with the Warriors. LeBron for Jimmy Butler. That's it," Simmons said. The deal is hypothetically possible given the contracts of both star players, but the question must be asked whether James is now enough of a difference maker to add offensive impetus to a Warrior team that, as Simmons essentially put it, is going nowhere as presently constructed. James missed the first 14 games of the season due to a sciatic injury that current Golden State veterans Al Horford and Seth Curry have since faced, with the 4x MVP having seen his numbers dip slightly upon his return in year 23. After finishing 6th in MVP last season at 24.4 points and 8.2 assists per game, James is currently putting up 20.5 points and 6.7 assists while shooting just 31.7% from three-point range. The 41-year-old also has a -2.8 net rating on the season, ranked last of any Laker player on the current roster. As Simmons puts it though, perhaps it's less about whether the move actually catapults the Warriors into any level of contention, and more just about the enjoyment of Curry and James sharing the floor together on the same team. They did it with great success at the 2024 Olympics in Paris, leading Team USA to the gold medal after vintage performances from Curry in the last 2 games. Perhaps the Warriors can look to recreate such success, though you'd think the front office's first priority would be to upgrade the roster while retaining Butler. Blockbuster Warriors-Pelicans trade could turn Golden State into top title contender. Kerr needs a sharpshooting wing to play the Clay role. The Golden State Warriors are 15-15 and nowhere near serious title contention, but a blockbuster trade for Trey Murphy III could change that. The 25-year-old is an elite scorer and floor spacer who could fill the Klay Thompson role in head coach Steve Kerr's system. The Dubs regret letting Klay go, and they could make this deal without giving up any of their 3 stars. It would mean finally parting ways with Jonathan Kuminga. Fans expect that move to happen before the February 5th trade deadline, but it can't until he's eligible to be moved on January 15th. Kuminga is struggling to get minutes and not producing like a star. The market for his services will be limited, and the Warriors can't expect him to fetch a massive haul. This blockbuster move could have a similar impact as the Jimmy Butler trade did last year. The Warriors could instantly vault into the Western Conference mix with another scorer who adds perimeter size. If the Warriors play their cards right, they could get 2 rotation pieces in this move. Warriors could land Trey Murphy III in blockbuster trade with Pelicans. New Orleans is on a hot streak, but still sits near the bottom of the Western Conference standings. It would take a lot more wins to get into the playoffs. The Pelicans would be wise to build for the future around Derek Queen and Jeremiah Fears by selling off some veterans before the deadline. They reportedly want a massive haul for Trey Murphy III, including a young talent and multiple first-round picks. Golden State can offer 3 firsts and Kuminga. If they can convince the Pels to add Jose Alvarado, this deal could be perfect for both parties. Golden State Warriors receive Trey Murphy III, Jose Alvarado. New Orleans Pelicans receive Jonathan Kuminga, Buddy Hield, 3 first-round draft picks. Hield's defensive woes and inconsistency have put him on the fringes of Kerr's rotation. The Warriors love his shooting, but it may be time to move on. It is the same story with Kuminga. If Coach Kerr isn't going to play them, the Dubs should trade them. There is no time to waste. Stephen Curry turns 38 in March and is nearing the end. Fans know the future Hall of Famer can still go nuclear, but this is the Warriors' best chance to win a 5th ring with Curry at the helm. Golden State should look to upgrade their roster around him so that the franchise can seriously contend. This move accomplishes that. It could be painful later, but banners hang forever. The Golden State Warriors must make a trade to become serious title contenders, and Trey Murphy III is the perfect addition. He is only 25 years old and gives the Dubs an improved outlook in the post-Curry era. Murphy would help them win now, too. The Warriors would finally have a new Clay, and it would be the piece that allows them to compete with any team. The pressure is all on Mike Dunleavy Jr. and the front office to make the move. Stay tuned to see if the Dubs make it happen before February 5th. Insider reveals Warriors' potential trade package for Anthony Davis. Although the Stein Line's Jake Fisher recently reported that the Golden State Warriors don't have a realistic pathway to acquiring Dallas Mavericks star Anthony Davis, it isn't impossible for the franchise to complete a trade for the 10-time All-Star. On Saturday, Clutch Point's Brett Siegel revealed the Warriors' potential trade package for Davis this season. If the Warriors truly look to pursue Anthony Davis, they would do so attempting to put something together around Jimmy Butler, while maintaining Jonathan Kuminga for separate additions, Siegel wrote on X/Twitter. Golden State isn't trading Draymond Green unless Steph, Curry, Steve Kerr, and Joe Lacabal greenlight it. Again, this is just if they look to seriously pursue Anthony Davis. The Warriors have long looked at Davis as the ideal center next to Draymond/Steph, but the Dubs have loved everything Jimmy Butler has brought them. It's an option, but AD's injuries stand out. The Warriors' most significant obstacle in a possible midseason deal for Davis has less to do with the franchise's trade assets and more to do with Davis's alarming injury history. The Dubs clearly have the pieces to convince the Mavericks to send Davis to the Bay, but should the organization take a chance on a forward who always seems to pop up on the injury report? Davis is a phenomenal talent, but if he can't stay healthy, the Warriors wouldn't be able to enjoy his services on the hardwood regularly. Needless to say, Golden State has a challenging trade decision to make. Warriors facing nightmare play-in scenario after Nikola Jokic injury. The Golden State Warriors currently sit 8th in the West with a 17-16 record, so if the season ended today, they'd face either the number 1 Thunder or number 2 Spurs in the first round, but only if they made it past the play-in tournament. What could be worse than that? Well, playing the Nuggets in the play-in, which is now a possibility after Nikola Jokic hyperextended his knee on Monday. Luckily, Jokic avoided a serious injury and will be re-evaluated in 4 weeks. Denver sits 3rd in the West, 3 games back from number 7 Phoenix. The Nuggets are now down 4 starters, and although Aaron Gordon and Christian Braun are expected to return sometime on their road trip, they could slip down into play-in range. That can be a good or bad thing for the Warriors, who can climb up the standings amid the Nuggets' slew of injuries. If they don't, and Denver stumbles, imagine playing Jokic and company in the play-in. You actually don't want to imagine that. Yes, Golden State beat Denver on opening night, but a few weeks after that, the Nuggets cruised to a 129-104 win over the Warriors. The stakes for a play-in game will be much higher than any regular season contest. Could the Warriors face the Nuggets in the play-in tournament? You don't need the reminder that Golden State's championship window with Steph Curry is quickly coming to a close. This time last year, It looked like the Warriors wouldn't come close to doing so, but then they traded for Jimmy Butler and returned to their contender status in the second half of the season. Curry's hamstring injury in the second round of the playoffs ended their season sooner than hoped. The West got stronger over the offseason, from the Rockets trading for Kevin Durant to the Nuggets elevating their depth. Playing in the conference may not be as daunting as most people thought, but the Warriors' road to another title won't be easy, especially not if their first stop is against Denver. Nikola Jokic is Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray is Jamal Murray, and Gordon turns into even more of an all-around beast in the postseason. The Nuggets aren't the kind of team you want to run into before the playoffs even officially start. Perhaps Denver will fare better than expected without Jokic, but that doesn't mean it won't be ugly. It just may not be as ugly. On top of the Nuggets' other injuries, it will be somewhat of a miracle if they tread water without him. The Warriors need to control what they can and focus on taking care of the next opponent in front of them, which right now is the Hornets. Believe it or not, but the best way to avoid the play-in, and possibly the Nuggets, is to win.